Okay, guys, welcome back to another Clubhouse. I'm your presenter, your host, Liam Bowen. If you're just joining me now, if this is your first time, I have the most successful tinnitus advice in the world. That is not trying to be braggadocious or arrogant. I'm merely trying to convince you to listen to what I have to say. Because in today's talk, I'm going to go over, is your home causing your tinnitus? I got some really cool stories. I had another Skype call last night with a really interesting fella from, well, I won't talk too much about him, but he was talking about how he's hit a bit of a plateau, and I'm pretty sure we figured out why that was. One of the reasons is root canals, and another reason is actually something that's in his home that he didn't realize was there, and I'm going to tell you what that is in this talk. So, once again, if you have tinnitus, hyperacusis, pulsatile tinnitus, vertigo, Meniere's disease, visual snow hearing loss, whether you hear a whirring, cheering, popping, rumbling, bursting, roaring, searing, whooshing, hissing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 68 or 80. I've had people who are 80 years old get rid of their tinnitus, okay, there's no excuses. There's many people. If you go on my Instagram, Liam Stops Tinnitus, Liam_Stops_tinnitus. If you go on my YouTube channel of the same name, and now my Clubhouse, but the testimonials are all there. There's so many testimonials. And I just got another a message today to say that I've got another video testimonial that's just been uploaded. So I want you to listen, okay? And I've spoken about this before, and in order to get silence, I really think, and we'll get to the home in a second, but I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think, what is the number one thing that people need to know? And I was mistaken when I was thinking, oh, it's a tactic. Is it mold? Is it parasites? Is it EMF? Is it sleeping improperly? Is it breathing through your mouth instead of your nose? Is it a lack of meditation? Is it stress reduction? Is it toxic people? Is it fasting? Is it nutritional information? Is it learning about allergies? Is it getting more sun? Is it teaching people grounding? Is it forcing people to stop use Bluetooth headphones and only use wired headphones when they absolutely need to? By the way, I'm using wired headphones right now so I can walk and talk, but as soon as this talk is done, no more headphones for the rest of the day. I tried to think, what is it that people with these symptoms, no matter how they got them, okay, no matter how they got them, what is it that they need? And actually the answer is hope. People need hope. And I realized this, not because people told me that outright, but people always say, Liam, I just want you to tell me that I can get rid of my tinnitus. Now, let me tell you an instance that happens again and again and again, and it goes something like this. Somebody gets tinnitus, whether it's from a drug, or whether it's seemingly randomly idiopathic, whether it's from a root canal, mold, a hit to the head, loud noise, stress, lack of sleep, the list goes on, right? Accutane, finasteride, benzodiazepines, SSRIs, corticosteroids, the pill, chemotherapy, does not matter. Let me say it again, say it with me, doesn't matter. No matter how they got it, they get tinnitus. Whether they know, they've got a basic idea, or they've got no fucking clue. Then what happens is, they usually either go straight online, and they go online and they go on forums, they go on tinnitustalk.com, or they go on one of these other forums, which should be illegal in my opinion. I'm not saying that to be a hyperbolic. They should be illegal. They're disgusting. And they go on those forums, and all they see is people saying, oh, I'm so sad, what can I do? There's nothing to do, I hope a cure comes out. Does anyone know about any research? Oh, how do you guys live with this? Oh, I'm gonna kill myself. Really depressing stuff. Really depressing stuff. And that is depressing, but what makes it worse is that when people try to offer constructive help, they get emotionally abused. If you even hint at saying, hey, is there a solution? Does anyone have anything? Or like I did, I say, hey guys, I can fix it. I got death threats, the craziest stuff. And the reason is, my opinion why that is because people in life, they want things. They want the wife, they want the husband, they want the white picket fence, they want the job, they want the car, they want the respect. And when they don't get it because people are lazy, they tell themselves excuses as to why they didn't get it. And tinnitus is, in a lot of instances, it is something that holds you back, right? It's a comforting lie. It holds some people back when it's really severe. Some people it doesn't really hold back if it's not too bad, and there's obviously exceptions to those rules. And so people tell themselves, oh, well, I've had it for 10 years and I would have been here if I didn't have it. So when I come along and say, oh, you can actually fix it, there's two things that I think of in this forum and other forums like it, and other people you meet. That is, I don't want to know, these people think, who have tinnitus and who are just negative people, I don't want to know that this entire time there was a solution right in front of my nose, and that solution was common fucking sense. Not eat this shit, don't watch Netflix until 2 a.m. You guys know the drill by now. They don't want to know that because it makes them feel like idiots, unfortunately. The other thing is, they don't want a solution to their problems because it means they've got no excuse to go and do the things that scare them. Make those calls, start that business, talk to that guy, talk to that girl, do the exercise. They don't want to do that. And that's my opinion on that, okay? So back to the person, they get tinnitus, they go to these forums, it's awful. Their tinnitus gets worse. They get a spike usually. Then they go to the ENT, and it's much worse after the ENT says there's nothing you can do. Because it's one thing to have these sad people on the internet say there's nothing you can do. But when a person goes to a seemingly, the word there is seemingly qualified ENT, and the ENT says there's nothing you can do as well, that's when a person freaks out. I can remember personally, when I believe I was 21 years old when I first got mine, and it was incredibly bad. I went to the ENT, I went to many ENTs, and it was about the 5th ENT I went to, and he was just like, this is the ENT that when I was in his office, he answered a FaceTime call from his friends, and they were like, come out and drink, and he goes, no, I can't, I gotta stay here anyway. Anyway, Liam, sorry, there's nothing you could do. So that's how much he cared about me. I got in my car and cried for like 25 minutes. Like that was rough. And my tinnitus was blaringly loud, and I mean, fuck, like that's that's probably some of the lowest times in my life. Of course, basically having tinnitus turned me into an alcoholic and a drug addict as well, and we'll get to that in another video, but it was bad. Anyway, sure some of you have gone through that, or you're going through that. I want you to know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But then what happens to these people? Back to the person again, the story, the common story. Then, hopefully, if they're lucky, and I mean that, not arrogantly, but truly, if they're lucky, they'll stumble across me. A friend will recommend me. Now some ENTs are recommending me, even some naturopaths and chiropractors, which is amazing. The message is getting out there. But usually it's on YouTube or something like that. That's how it commonly happens. And they find me and they watch my videos and they see the testimonials. And what happens? Their tinnitus decreases. Now, we're not talking about drastically. We're not talking about an 8 to a 1 or a 5 to a 1. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about a noticeable difference. But perhaps maybe their attention is just put onto something other than their tinnitus and how bad it is. And because when people think they have to learn to live with something, they instantly think, I can't do that. And I would probably agree to some extent that I wouldn't want to live with tinnitus either. And I remember when I thought I had to do that, and that's why we'll get into that. Horrible. So hope. People need hope. Now, I have so many stories, so many testimonial videos that surely anyone with tinnitus will be able to relate to someone else's story. Whether it's the age, the gender, how they got it, what they've been through, the severity, what it sounds like, what they've already tried, so on and so forth. But still, and this is fine, still, people need to contact me and say, Liam, I just want to know there's hope. I've even had people on Skype calls who we talk for, it's an hour call, and we talk, and they said, yeah, I'm following your advice for 6 months, my tinnitus is nearly gone, I'm just stuck at the end, I just need to know what to do. And then at the end, they still say, Liam, I just want you to tell me I'm going to get better. And it kind of blows my mind that, you know, a little old me, 29-year-old me, and I've spoken to some, and this is not an arrogance or anything like that, but some incredibly fucking famous people and insanely wealthy people, and sometimes a bit of the both. Like, you know, people who've been on talk shows, that sort of thing, like fuck off famous. And they just want to know there's hope. Because no one is offering that. I would say the currency of tinnitus is hope. And so that's really, you know, that's covered in my YouTube channel. And if you're listening to this now, you just want some sort of evidence that you can get silence. Yes, I can tell you that you can get silence because you can. You really can. I mean, it's fucking easy. Well, knowing what to do is easy. Doing it is hard. That's the difference. And that's why I'm doing these videos. But I also hear people say, Liam, sorry, it's the washing machine. I hear people say, Liam, how do I know that this is going to work for me? 1 second, let me just make sure this is on. Okay, guys, remember, anytime you want to put your hand up, you can. People say, Liam, how do I know that this is going to work for me, what you're applying, what you're advising? And I say, there is literally no way possible that you will know this will work for you. And people go, hey, Liam, will this work for me? Here's my story. Here's how old I am. Here's this, here's that, here's the medications I'm on, here's this, here's every little bit about my life that I could ever possibly remember. Will it work for me? And I say, there's no way I can answer that. Only your ears can answer that. What does that mean? You have to start applying. There is no way you will know until you actually start applying. Now, it's going to work. It's as simple as that. But you also have to understand, guys, and really look in the mirror and wake up to this. It's hard work to get silence. So are you actually putting off the effort? Okay, so hopefully that's a bit of an intro I've got there. There's something on my mind that I wanted to talk about. So I've got some notes here. So let's talk about, Wi-Fi, okay? Let's talk about Wi-Fi. So if you've seen my videos, I won't really get into the specifics, but you have your mitochondria, which is an intracellular organelle next to the nucleus and the ribosomes and the lysosomes and the endoplasmic reticulum, which are all inside of your cells. Obviously, we'll use the cells inside of your cochlea as an example here, which your stereocilia are attached to. Inside of the thousands of mitochondria inside of your cells, okay, there is a process. There is a process called the electron chain transport system, in which, you guessed it, electrons, okay, which are basically like little suns, which is very cool, are transported through different processes. They're very copper-dependent processes, by the way, so eat liver and avoid iron. Very copper-dependent processes inside of the mitochondria. And as a byproduct, not the only, this is the only result, the only goal of the electron chain transport system is not to create adenosine triphosphate, but that does happen, and it's a very vital one, okay? By the way, today, guys, you're going to create over 50% of your body weight in adenosine triphosphate. That's how much of it you need. Now, what we're trying to do when we silence tinnitus is we are not trying to increase the amount of adenosine triphosphate necessarily. It's case dependent. We're not trying to decrease it either. We are simply trying to regulate it. I look at it like when a person has cancer. When a person has cancer, okay, their system of apoptosis is not functioning properly. When not enough cells are dying and you have too much of an overgrowth, you get what? You get tumors, okay, and you get cancer. Not good. Obviously, I'm not an oncologist, so I can't, speak technically on that, but you get the basic idea. So you need regulation. You need a properly functioning mitochondria to regulate that, okay? So one of the things that severely interferes with the regulation of adenosine triphosphate, of getting rid of your tinnitus and hearing loss, is something called NNEMF. That stands for non-native EMF. Let me give you an example of that. Electricity, Wi-Fi modems, microwaves, ovens, copper wirings, the phone in your pocket, the headphones in your ears, the computer you're working on, blue light, your neighbor's Wi-Fi, the telephone pole right outside your fucking window, the street light right outside your window, the smart meter on the other side of your wall. As I said before, the copper wiring running through your walls as well. This stuff is toxic, okay? This stuff is really bad. I kind of look at this stuff, if I'm honest, and a friend of mine, Daniel, actually, I don't know if he's on now, but he linked me to a documentary that was a couple of years old. And there was a presenter who was talking about all this stuff that's coming out. And keep in mind, this was like 10 years ago. And he was saying that these smart devices and these phones and these ear pods and these Wi-Fi technology is the new smoking. Now, let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind. Are you ready for this? If you have, which you do, a smartphone like a Samsung or a whatever, who cares, iPhone, it's irrelevant. If you open up the instruction manual, which no one does, of course, because everyone's too busy like quickly downloading Snapchat and Instagram so they can take a photo of their ass and muscles, right, to try and get laid. That's what we all do. That's fine. Okay? You open up the instruction manual. It says, do not place within 2 inches of your skin. Do not place this device within 2 inches of your skin for the mobile phone. Here is something more that's going to blow your mind. Those AirPods from Apple are more toxic than your Wi-Fi router. Let me say that again. They are more toxic than your Wi-Fi router, and you're putting them in your ears. Let me give you another fact that's going to blow your mind too. I tell people, sleep in pitch darkness, because light hits your eyes and it hits something behind your eyes called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which regulates your sleep pattern. It regulates your hormones, helps to regulate your hormones, okay? It regulates your melatonin and cortisol. Now, people say, oh, my cortisol's too high. I say, bullshit. You're supposed to have cortisol because cortisol is supposed to wake you up. You're just not sleeping properly, okay? So that's something interesting. Here's what's crazy, okay? Your body perceives non-native EMF. So again, that's your phone. That's the phone next to your bed when you're asleep. That's the computer in the corner of your room. That's the copper wiring running through your walls. Your body perceives it as light. I shit you not. So how well are you going to sleep at nighttime if you have a fucking Wi-Fi router on the other side of your bedroom wall? The answer is not very well at all. Not very well at all, okay? If you wake up, I have questions all the time. Liam, how come I wake up with a spike? There's many, many reasons for this, okay? Also, let's go a bit further. If you have metal springs in your bed, if you have metal springs in your bed and a Wi-Fi router on the other side of your room, that is an absolute fucking disaster. Okay? The metal picks up on it and it acts like a satellite dish and you are cooking your cells. You're not going to sleep properly. You're going to have some serious problems. Now, you can either completely get rid of the EMF in your local area, good luck with that, or you can get a bed without metal springs, much more feasible. But remember, okay, we're going to move on to beds now. We're going to move on to sleep and beds. Remember this, the topic of this video is things that cause you tinnitus in your home. If you have a bed, most beds, pillowcases, sheets, mattresses, they have what's called bromine in them. Bromine is a flame retardant, which means that it's fireproof to an extent. You know, people would fall asleep with a cigarette in their hand and they would be burning alive, right? Horrible shit. So if you see my webinar on halogens, like iodine, chlorine, fluoride, bromine, you would know that bromine is toxic to your thyroid and every other cell in your body that needs iodine, which is basically every other cell except red blood cells, right? So it's toxic as shit. So in my opinion, if you wanted to have an optimal sleeping situation, here's what you would do, okay? The first thing you need to do is to get a dirty electricity meter. It's a little handheld device. You can go to the electricity store, or if you have a family member or a friend who's an electrician, they will probably know what it is. Have everything on that you usually have on in your house, apartment, and walk around your room and see where the big problem areas are, especially in your bedroom. Especially in your bedroom. If you also haven't changed your Wi-Fi to Ethernet, I mean, come on, how many times I have to tell you? You got to do that, okay? It's just dangerous. Or you can have it on a timer and turn it off at night. If you absolutely cannot do anything about it and you must have it on during the day or you'll be murdered or something, then it's okay. But you know what I'm trying to say. Get a dirty electricity meter and see what the problem is. Then, okay, you need to change your mattress if you haven't already. Don't break the bank, okay? I'm not telling you to break the bank. Your pillow as well. I have so many people, okay? And this is why there's never going to be. This is why I was talking about my frustration with tinnitus scams 2 days ago, and whenever I see these stupid tinnitus supplements, like, oh, it's the greatest thing, or when people say, oh, they post on these tinnitus forums, oh, there's a new supplement, or there's a new treatment for tinnitus, this medication, it's in stage 2, which received $10 million of funding. I'm like, great, can that supplement grow legs and turn off the Wi-Fi router? No, shut up. That's what's called false hope. We spoke about hope in the beginning. False hope. What that does is it delays people from doing what actually works, which is what I am talking about. Let me say that again. This stuff is false hope. It is unfair. It should be illegal. It is never going to work. It has never worked. It is a waste of money. And it is disgusting. It is fucking disgusting what these big companies do to people. If anyone thinks they give a shit about you, you are absolutely delusional. So change your beds. You get the point I'm trying to make there, okay? You can talk to an expert. There's actually a really, really good girl on Instagram called Awakened Spaces or Awakening Spaces. You'll be able to find it. She's good. I actually asked her if I could interview her for my YouTube channel, and she said yes. So that's coming up. I got to book in a time with her. She's amazing. She talks about mold, electricity, all that sort of stuff. So let's move on to mold. So as I spoke about, I had a gentleman yesterday that I was talking to. By the way, guys, if anyone has any questions, just raise your hand at any time. Really, like, as I said before, you're not going to interrupt me. So don't feel self-conscious about raising your hand and asking a completely unrelated question to the topic at hand. It's absolutely fine. If you have any questions, you can literally ask me anything. That's fine. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So I was speaking to a gentleman last night on a Skype call, and he was talking about how, Liam, I had tinnitus for a year, and this gentleman was 54. He had tinnitus for a year, and he lives in a part of America where it gets hot and cold, so humidity is sometimes a problem at night. And he's saying, I had tinnitus for a year, it was 10 out of 10, you know the story, went to the ENT, they were fucking useless. And then he found me, and he's been applying my advice, I would say perfectly. I would say literally like stand-up model member of my community. Perfect. But his tinnitus has been a 1 out of 10 for about 8 months. So he spent 4 months, so he's been doing it for a year, 4 months doing it, and then he got it down to a 1, and it's been stuck at a 1 for 8 months. Now, instantly, I think we're missing something here. Now, I'm not saying he's not being honest with me, he fucking was, but I'm saying we're missing something here, there's got to be something else. And, he told me, he said, Liam, I get these sinus infections a lot. I'm like, sinus infections. And he goes, yeah, and I know that might be mold, but I've been taking the Spanish black radish and, it's sort of helped, but I'm stuck at a 1 and I get these rashes and stuff like that. And he was just basically outlining me what the symptoms of mold toxicity are. So let me explain something to you guys. When you have mold in your property or a car or a workplace or a museum you walk through, and this guy worked in a certain field where he spent a lot of time in, I don't want to tell you too much about him. He was in basements and roofs a lot. And that's the literal place that mold goes. It goes into roofs where all the wood is and all the insulation is, and obviously in basements where the damp comes up from the earth, right? It loves the wood, so on and so forth. Anyway, so he had itchy nose, had sinus infections a lot. And guys, you can walk into a moldy building when you're 10 years old, and you could be 60 years old right now, and you'll still have mold toxicity. Even if you leave the affected area, okay, you still have mold in your body. And I would say the number one place that mold loves to live, okay, and we're talking about Aspergillus, borealis, very serious shit, by the way, very serious. There are mold lawyers in the United States who make an absolute killing suing people who don't keep their workplaces safe when their employees get mold poisoning, and it can be very bad, okay? In fact, multiple sclerosis is often a misdiagnosis for people who have black mold poisoning because their body starts to shut down. This is how fucking serious mold is, so don't underestimate it. So mold loves the sinuses, up your nose, under your chin, under your eyes, and above your eyes. That's where your sinuses live. Go read the book Breathe by James Nestor. It's fascinating, all right? And so mold will not leave your body until you have dealt with it. Until you have dealt with it. It does not matter if you leave the area in which you were exposed to mold. Let me say it again. You can be exposed to mold at the age of 9 or 55 or 2 months old as a baby, and you can still have mold toxicity in your body many years later, until the day you die. I'm being serious. So what exactly is the problem with mold? What is mold and what does it want to do? Well, first of all, mold has been around for millions and millions of years before we have. Okay, whether you believe in, creationism or not, it's irrelevant. Okay, let's just say mold is more sophisticated than humans. Let's just call it that. It outsmarts our immune system all the time. Its goal is to kill us. Have you ever walked in the woods in damp woods in the United Kingdom and you see a dead tree on the ground, what is it covered in? Mold. Now, the tree did not die and then the mold just started attacking it. The mold weakened it, and over years and years, it eventually took hold and rotted it from the inside, killed it on the floor, and now the fungus and the mold and the parasites are having a field day. Witchetty grubs are living in there, that sort of thing. That's what mold wants with us. These are the facts of life. Life is brutal, and when we understand that, then we can act accordingly and reverse the problems brought on from the brutality of life. So, mold sits in us. Aspergillus borealis, black mold, all sorts of different things. Mostly in our sinuses, I've personally found. And what does it do? It releases something called mycotoxins. There are different types of mycotoxins, okay? And I want to tell you something else that's going to blow your mind. Mycotoxins actually cause the creation of oxalate. I shit you not. As if plants couldn't be any more vicious separately. Now it's like WWE wrestling and they're high-fiving each other and tagging in and putting you in a chokehold. Oxalate, okay, crystals are a byproduct of oxalic acid. You probably heard me talk about that. Go look up Sally K. Norton and low-ox grandma. I won't get into it now. But mycotoxins, what they do is they want to kill you. So what do? They target your energy supply. They target the battery of the body, which is what? The mitochondria and everything else. They love fat. So they'll go for your nervous system. They'll go for your brain. Your heart sits in a chamber of fat. You know what else sits in a chamber of fat? Your adrenal glands and your adrenal cortexes. They sit in a huge chamber of fat. Okay, so they go straight for that. So if you have fatigue issues, if you have memory issues, if you have tinnitus, if you have sexual dysfunctions, if you have infertility, I'm not saying it's definitely mold, and I'm not saying that everyone who has these issues has mold, but it's, from my experience, it's very, very likely that you do. Okay, so you need to get rid of that mold. What's the first thing that you should do, in my opinion? Get a urinary mycotoxin mold test. If it comes back positive, also you can check for the HLA gene. Get a blood test and check for let me make sure I got that right. I don't want to misspeak on that. Where have I written it? I'll get back to that in a second. I think it's the HLA gene. Sorry about that. You can look that up. But the HLA gene is turned on when you have mold toxicity. I apologize. Okay? And you get the test. And you probably will have it, because I got to tell you, every single person who gets the test in my course has mold. So it's interesting, isn't it? And very badly, usually. So what do you do then? Okay, I want you to go on YouTube. I want you to type in Jill Kristen nasal spray. And I want you to start doing that. But I want you to look around your home. I want you to look under the bed, on the walls, in the bathroom, outside of the windowsill, outside, on the inside. I want you to look for mold. And if you can see some, that's a problem. Contact the expert. You've got to get rid of it, because it doesn't matter how much medication you take, how many nasal sprays you do. If you keep getting reinfected, taking the nasal sprays is fucking pointless. This also goes for your workplace. If you work in an office where there is mold, it needs to be fixed. Now, why do some people not have problems with mold and some people do? There is a really, really good book, I'll get it for you, that you should read called Toxic. I'm going to find the author for it. It's a bit of a vague name, so I'm going to get the author for you. By the way, guys, people not often, but do ask me, Liam, how did you figure out all this stuff about tinnitus? Stop Googling how to cure tinnitus, because all you're going to get are these bullshit supplements that don't work, and people saying you can't do anything about it. I just read book after book after book after book. You ever hear me mispronounce something? I used to call salicylate salicylate. You know why that is? Because I would never look up shit on YouTube anymore about tinnitus. I would only read it in books and papers. Okay, so the book is called Toxic. Hold on. Toxic, Heal Your Body from Mold Toxicity, Lyme Disease, Multiple Sclerosis. This thing is being really annoying. One sec, guys, sorry. Kindles are good, but they're still, that's really annoying. Okay, that should be enough for you guys to figure out who the author is. Hold on, here we go. Sorry about the delay, guys. Okay, Neil Nathan, Neil Nathan. Toxic, Heal Your Body from Lyme Disease. multiple chemical sensitivities, not multiple sclerosis, and chronic environmental illness. So check your home for mold, but remember you can't always see and smell it. Mycotoxins are scentless and invisible. Okay? And guess what, guys? Just another kick to the dick. EMF actually helps mold grow and flourish. Okay, we're going to get onto the very last thing here now, which is toxic people. Okay, toxic people. So if you look on the internet, bloody internet again, or you talk to someone, or you talk to a therapist, or you talk to your mum or anything, and you say, oh, I'm having a hard time with this, or work's really stressful, or, you know, I've got tinnitus and blah, 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 and like all this sort of stuff. And what do I do? Besides the fact that people are not, you know, most people walk through life just getting the absolute shit kicked out of them, emotionally, physically, financially. Most people are a fucking paper bag in the wind. And so what are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you coping mechanisms. They're going to say, get acupuncture, start yoga, do a juice cleanse, do meditation, you know, blah, 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 all this stuff. And whatever, that's great. If that works for you, that works for you. But you know what they are? For the most part, not 100%, they're coping mechanisms. Think back to what I just said about mold. If you keep going back into a toxic mold environment, you can do as many supplements and mold killing practices as you want. It's not going to do a fucking thing. Just like with stress and toxic people, if you keep going back to that loser boyfriend or nagging girlfriend or whatever, and that annoying boss who doesn't respect you, or that evil bitch of a stepmother or stepfather-in-law who doesn't like you, whatever the person, and you don't stand up for yourself, it doesn't matter how much meditation, yoga, acupuncture you do, you are fucked. I saw this post the other day with this girl who said, oh, you know, because I follow a lot of health pages on Instagram, and so I get recommended stuff, and she said, oh, I wasn't ready to go back home for Christmas yet because of my toxic family. I need to do more healing and work on myself. No, sweetheart, you need to cut them the fuck out of your life forever. Forever. Again, I was talking to another friend of mine, okay, back in Melbourne, and his father knew someone for, I think like 45 years or something. And this guy just started being really rude and really mean and saying shit. I won't mention it here, but really out of hand stuff, like just not on, mate. And he just cut him off and cut him out of his life, and that's it. Now, you would talk to a person, any person, and say, oh, you should talk it out, and that's unreasonable, and, you know, friends, and oh, you can't choose your family, but you got to love them. Shut the fuck up. That is the worst advice I have ever heard in my fucking life. Guys, let me explain something to you. Let me keep it real simple. Never, and I mean never, take advice from someone who you would not swap spots with. Let me say that again. Never, ever should you ever take advice from someone that you would not swap lives with. And I don't mean just spots, as in like you change clothes and you change names. I mean literally snap your fingers like Freaky Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, and literally swap lives with. Most people are sad, they're angry, they don't look the way they want to look, and they don't give a shit about you. Most people, you probably experience this when you start to level up in life. This is still toxic people, by the way. When you start to level up in life, okay, which I've done in a big, big way over the last 8 years, I can tell you from personal experience, if you haven't experienced this already, your friends are going to fucking hate you. They are going to fucking hate you. And you know why? Because if they were your friends or your acquaintances, chances are you had a lot in common. You had similar desires, you liked the same kind of girl, you had similar goals, you wanted to do the same things. And you're moving up in life and they're staying where they are. And that reflects poorly on them. Well, fuck them. A lot of you run around trying to make everyone happy and, oh, I got to talk to this person and I got to make my family. Yeah, I'm lucky to have a great fucking family. My childhood was awesome. My parents are awesome. My mother's awesome. I got a twin brother. He's awesome too. I'm lucky. But it doesn't mean that I don't have a whole bunch of fucking other family and other instances in my life and other old business partners and old friends that I've completely eliminated. Take it from me, guys. Sometimes it's a lot better to just cut toxic people out of your life and stand up for yourself as well. Because when you respect yourself in that manner, then you can do everything else, okay? And when you feel good about yourself, then you actually start treating yourselves in ways that will silence your tinnitus. Okay, we're going to end it there. All right, now I know sometimes in the last two calls people only chimed in the last minute, but does anyone have any questions? And please don't be shy, okay? No one's going to judge you here. I'm going to be absolutely polite, and so will everyone else, I fucking guarantee it. Any questions at all you would like to know about tinnitus or hyperacusis or about me, or you want to tell me about yourself, or you just want to say thanks, that's fine too. Anything else, I'll give it one more minute, and then the replay will be available on Clubhouse, as well as on Instagram and YouTube. Anything that anybody wants to know. Okay, 5, 4, here we go. Okay, 3 people. All right, great. Okay. We'll go with the Australian first. Hey, what's going
Hey,
on?
hey, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Yeah, good. I just wanted to ask, in regards to the mattresses,
Yeah.
if you don't have spring, like what else can you get? Like what else, like you wouldn't get water.
No, you wouldn't get water. No, there are actually companies. Look, if you just, I know you're in Australia, so I know there's lots of mattress companies there. So you can either check online, and they'll have, I don't really know how to describe it, but if you've ever seen, like, in Melbourne, how they have those sort of, those horse-drawn carriages and they have the wood. It's not wood in the mattresses, but I don't know the technical name for it, but it's just not metal. That's the thing. So
Okay, so if
if
I just type it in, like search it out on Google or whatever, I'll be able to
yeah.
find something.
Yes, I would do that. And also, but there's another, because if you're going to buy a new mattress, you should also make sure you're not making any other errors. So make sure it's also bromine free. What I would
Bromine.
do, yeah, what I would do is I would contact this girl on Instagram. Her page is Awakened
Yeah,
Spaces.
I've
And I
heard
would just,
that. Yeah.
yeah, so I've been talking to her a bit. So just say Liam sent you and you're just curious as to what mattress is the best one or what the kind is.
Okay.
And then tell her
Yeah.
you're in Australia and she should be able to maybe, because you don't want to be shipping something over from overseas, but somewhere
No.
locally somewhere locally should be able to help you.
Yes, sweet. Because we've got a few thyroid issues in the family. So,
Right. Do you
yeah.
do you take iodine or anything like that?
Yeah, I've just started. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever go swimming in like chlorinated pools or anything like that?
Never. No, only
Never.
in the ocean. Yeah, only in the
Yeah.
ocean. But
Uh,
my daughter, she was born with congenital hypothyroidism, and she's been swimming in chlorine heaps, and now I'm freaked out
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I want to try and wean her off her medication.
Is she on Synthroid or something like that or?
Yeah, thyroxine every day
Yeah.
for the rest of her life, they said.
Well, that's ridiculous. I wouldn't want my young daughter to be on
No.
medication for the rest of their life. So you're seeing a endocrinologist?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, look, okay. There's a book you should read. Um, oh, what's it called? Hold on. Let me just find it. Do you mind just one second? I'm just going to find
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's
what
all right.
it's called. Um, Oh, okay. Dr. Brownstein. Okay. There's a
Okay.
really, really excellent doctor called I think it's Dr. David Brownstein or something, I forget his
Yeah.
name. But if you type in
Yeah.
Brownstein
Yeah.
iodine, he has
Yeah.
some amazing books. And so,
Okay.
he talks about desiccated thyroid and thyroxine and triiodethionine and TSH and all the functionalities. And
Uh-huh.
in medical school, these endocrinologists and doctors, they get taught that iodine is toxic. I shit you not. And iodine is an essential trace mineral. It's
Yeah.
incredibly important for people. So anyway, contact a girl about the mattress. Let me know how you go about that. And look up Dr. David Brownstein. And obviously, I wouldn't go taking your daughter off any medication before
No,
talking
no,
to.
no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, of
Yeah.
course. Okay,
Sweet.
great.
Thanks, Liam.
Okay, have a lovely day.
Okay,
Okay,
bye.
bye. Okay, bringing Milad in.
All right.
Hey, my friend from Sweden. What's going on?
Yeah, hi Liam. Thanks a
Hey,
lot.
man.
It's going good. I just
Abs-
want to say I appreciate these clubhouse talks.
Yep.
Uh, they're really good. And I just had a question. I don't know if it's related to this topic, but it was just a question about um, that tinnitus. You have I have developed some kind of tinnitus that for like 5 days, it's the sound is like an 8, and then for like 3 days, it's a 2, and then
Yep.
again for like 6 days, it's a 9, and then for like
Yep.
2 days, whenever I sleep, it resets. I really don't understand how it's possible. So maybe you had some kind of information.
Right. Okay, so it's just fluctuating greatly. Like there's
Yes.
big. Okay, right. Can you tell me about, let's say, like how long have you had the tinnitus for?
Yeah. Well, so I've had it for a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of years, but now
Yep.
recently, maybe since like 6 months, it's really fluctuating.
Right. Okay. Can you tell me about any potential changes, like change in living situation, dietary, medication, stress, anything that's happened?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell within the 6 months, I've gained a lot of weight. To be
Yep.
honest, like I've gained a lot of weight.
Yep.
So maybe that's
Sure.
probably.
Are we talking about like muscle, or we're talking about you've been eating poorly, or?
No, no, because I've been working from home, with the COVID, so I've just been eating poorly. I've been
Okay.
eating really.
Right. Well, look, I would say in terms of the fluctuation, if I had to guess, I mean, obviously, I would say your lifestyle's probably taken a hit because, yeah, a lot of people, and this is very common, man. People having to work from home from COVID. You're sitting down, you might not be exercising. You're ordering takeaway food, I'm guessing, and you're looking at a screen a lot of the time, and you're indoors. Would that
Yeah,
be would that be accurate?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of if your question is like, okay, so first of all, for that to happen with that sort of lifestyle change is not unusual. It's not. And are you using headset, a headphone at home, or is it just working on a computer?
yeah, yeah. We use headsets, because we speak with customers, so
Yep.
I have to use headset.
No, no, I
Yeah.
understand. I understand completely. Is it noise canceling? Is it wired, Bluetooth?
No, they're all Bluetooth, man. They're all Bluetooth headsets.
Okay, you got to change that, man. You can't be doing that. You can't do
Yeah,
that. You got to change
yeah.
it. So that would be a big. Is that when you used to work in the office 6 months ago or whenever it was? Would you also use Bluetooth headsets there?
Yeah, the thing is, when I was working in the office, actually, it was also Bluetooth headsets, but
Yeah.
so it
Okay. I,
previously was.
my advice, the first thing, like for an easy win, and I reckon you'd probably come back to me in 2 weeks and say, yeah, you were right. It's stopped the fluctuation and probably even reduced. Cutting out Bluetooth headsets usually reduces people's tinnitus quite drastically, like on quite a big level. So if
Right,
I was you, I would go down to whatever the Swedish equivalent of JB Hi-Fi is in Australia, get a wired headset and throw the Bluetooth one in the fucking bin or give it back to work, whatever. Because
right,
you never ever want to use that again, ever. It's quite dangerous actually for your brain and your ears,
right,
for
right,
sure. Yeah.
right.
But yeah, man, it's what's with the light. I would say what causes fluctuations is, yeah, as you said, putting on weight. That's okay. Everyone goes through that, but not so good. So try and, get outside when you can and cut out the Bluetooth headset. And that's to be expected. So if you're thinking, oh my God, why is this happening? I would attribute it to that, which it's better knowing what it is than wondering what the hell's going on from the randomness. But I would definitely attribute it to those factors.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Cool, man. All right. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye. Okay. Hey, man. What's going on?
Hi Liam,
How
finally
we...
getting to speak to you.
Yeah, it's lovely to speak to you, man. Well, you're from the UK, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Lovely.
So yeah, we talked a bit yesterday about privately about trying to get like a mycotoxin
Yep.
urinary report. It's nigh on impossible to get one in the UK. I've never heard anyone get it, and then when I've looked on the silencers group itself,
Yep.
it's been very, very difficult. So,
Yep.
lots of question for you, but if other people in the group know how to get one, then that would be good because it's not something that they do on the NHS that you can get from your local doctor. But
Yes. Understood. So you want me to kind of put the call out and see what other people have done? Is
Yeah,
that what you need?
yeah, if you can, please. Yeah, I did it
Yeah.
myself yesterday, but I didn't get much feedback. I think there's been a lot of
Yeah,
updates and stuff.
in
It probably
some.
got lost in there somewhere.
Yes, it is. It is, and I'll tell you one thing. You're 100%, especially with the NHS. Like the NHS is not that good quality anyway, and a urinary mycotoxin test is something that's rather specialized. So, look, I'll tell you what though, there is a website that you might want to check out. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Great Plains Laboratory. Have you ever heard of it? Oh, have I lost you? Hello? Okay, I think maybe he'll
What
come
again?
back. Oh, sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
got you back.
it's just I was just hoping there was something like more local or like like I'm in one of the major cities, so I was very surprised that we don't have anything like that.
Yeah, look, I see what you're saying, and personally, I think it's first of all, I believe you because yeah, it's a specialized thing. Okay, what about have you tried contacting like a naturopath or a chiropractor, or have you just stuck with the general sort of government health system so far?
You know what? In the last 3 years since I've been on your course, I've come to almost despise the doctors because every time I ask them something, they just come out with like absolute like I know it's absolute nonsense now. So at one point, for example, I was sat next to a nurse and following the bit sort of mostly carnivore diet. At that point, I'd lost about 11 kgs,
Yeah,
and I was talking to this nurse, lovely woman, but she was telling me that I should keep carbs and sugar in my diet, and I was trying to tell her I'm taking away carbs and sugar, and
yeah,
that's how I'm losing weight. And
yeah,
the problem there is not only is she obviously wrong because you don't need carbs
yeah,
to survive, you don't really need sugar as well.
yeah.
She was massively obese,
Oh, really? Oh my
like
God.
like gut, like huge belly, and I just sat there and almost like in a third person, like looking at the situation and was thinking, why is this woman telling me? Why is
Yeah,
this woman telling a person who's just lost 11 kgs,
yeah,
giving them dietary advice when they're massively obese?
yeah.
So sort of stuff like that. I've been seeing a chiropractor, and the chiropractor is fantastic actually. So
Great.
a lot of the stuff that he says is similar to what you're saying. So I've been doing
How
what
is,
he was saying.
sorry to interrupt, how is your tinnitus? How's it progressing?
It, before it would be constantly like a 7, 8 or something. Now it's probably like a most days are probably like 2, 3, something like that. I'm just
Yeah,
finding it a bit more difficult just to sort of completely wean it out.
I
And
gotcha.
yeah,
What about,
again,
sorry again, what about some of the things I spoke about today? So like the Wi-Fi, the mold, the toxic people, maybe a root canal, something like that. Do you think any of those things might be keeping your tinnitus there?
I don't have a root canal, so I was just sort of going through a list. Don't have a root canal. I had a filling, but it was like one of those white composite fillings things.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah. And it wasn't very deep. And to be honest, I don't think I needed it as well. It was like the size of a needle. It was like it
Yeah,
was tiny, tiny, tiny amount, but they decided to do it anyway.
yeah.
So that's just like the dental profession for you. They just like make
Oh
you do,
yeah.
you know.
Oh,
But
they'll,
had I known I didn't need to do it, I probably wouldn't have done it because again, actually, another thing that you just brought up, I've been taking fluoride-free toothpaste for the last 3 years.
yeah,
Now, when I told my dentist about 2 years ago that I'd been having a fluoride-free toothpaste, she sort of did the usual spiel. You know, you're not supposed to have fluoride-free. Fluoride strengthens your teeth, blah blah blah, all that sort of nonsense.
yeah,
So I thought, okay, fine, I'm not going to say anything.
yeah,
I've been doing it the last 3 years. Hand on heart, I went to my dentist about 2, 3 weeks ago.
yeah,
I've still been using fluoride-free toothpaste and fluoride-free mouthwash. Didn't tell her this time. She did my check and she goes, "Oh, your teeth are really good. They're really strong."
yeah, yeah.
That's
No,
what
I
happens when you don't tell them.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, and I bet you like even if you walked in and you know you had to check and she's like, oh, they're looking really good, and then I reckon if you would have told her, oh, I was using fluoride free, she still would have gone,
Exactly,
oh no, that's really bad. Don't do that
exactly,
because
exactly.
they can't
People,
see what's right in front of them if it conflicts with their years of bullshit training. That's how it works.
exactly, exactly. That's why I didn't tell her this time. Last time when I told her, she was giving me like a whole lecture. Oh, all the usual. You have to have fluoride. It strengthens your teeth. Blah blah blah. This time, didn't tell her at all. And she's like, "Oh yeah, your teeth are really strong."
Yeah,
And it's mainly because of the carnivore diet. And I find my teeth are stronger. And obviously
right.
stuff like that, having a carnivore diet and just like having stronger teeth, it's just another way of your body showing you that it's working properly. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely. And also, what people don't realize is the teeth are actually living organisms.
Yeah,
They actually have blood flow, they have little pumps in them, they actually have mitochondria, they have all this stuff. And then people think they're just these pieces of bone. They're not, they're living. And so you can fix them. And yeah, as you said, I reckon the fluoride would be a huge role in that, like absolutely. And also the carnivore, like you know, when people eat sugar and all this sort of stuff, it rots the teeth. And also back to that, just on this point, back to that nurse who was like obese and telling you how to be healthy. People don't realize this, but they think, oh, you know, your body needs sugar, your brain needs sugar. Yes, it needs glucose, but what people don't realize is they don't understand a concept, a fact of the body called gluconeogenesis, which is when you eat animal fat, you eat animal protein, and your liver actually converts it into glucose for your brain and your cells, and they don't even know that that exists. And so you have to wonder, why aren't these people getting taught this in medical school? Why are they so stubborn? It's like
it's
it's crazy.
Liam. It's funny. I was on another course, and it was supposed to be like a living well nutrition course, and this nutritionist, she was half dead. She would just tell people on the course just to eat carbs,
Oh God.
like a decent amount, have fruit, decent amount. You can have like chocolates, every now and again, blah blah blah. I was like, I cut all that out, and she goes, you know what? That's dangerous. She goes, that's dangerous. And I was just, and she's a qualified, certified like nutritionist or something.
Yep.
And I was just thinking, like when I say they, I'm talking about the elite. So I
Yep.
think we all have our own definition of who they are. They
Yep.
are the ones that are telling people that you have to have carbs because as I understand it, that it was like a doctor in the 1950s or something, and they
Ansel
paid him
Keys.
off.
Ansel
Yeah,
Keys.
yeah,
Yep.
there's something like that. They paid him off in order to actually divert um, the reason why people get heart attacks is
Yep.
because of uh, fat, as in
Yes.
like belly fat, as in animal fat, when it's actually sugar. Sugar causes fat, sugar
Yes.
causes diabetes, sugar
Yes.
causes all growth, cancer, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so they completely misrepresented the data because when somebody has a heart attack or a stroke, the arterial plaquing consists of cholesterol. So they say, oh, the cholesterol plugged out the arteries and that what stopped the oxygen from getting to the heart or the brain and they died. That is true. But what they don't talk about is what led to that arterial plaquing was actually a rupturing and a serrating almost of the arteries from carbohydrates, seed oils, sugar, smoking, and alcohol. And they don't talk about that. And in his study, Ansel Keys did a study, you're 100% right, by the way. It was called the 7 country study. What people don't realize is he actually studied something like 14 countries. But the other 7 of those countries actually showed that the higher level of saturated fat and meat and less carbohydrates someone ate, the healthier they were.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so, and he also, they manipulated the data. It was a retrospective study. It was epidemiological. It was just complete garbage. And they used that study to like change the food in hospitals, to change the food pyramid,
yeah,
to change the
yeah,
food in prisons, in high schools, in preschools. And it was funded by, first of all, the seed and grain companies of the world, which were like billion-dollar companies, just to make you sick and to sell you their food. And that's why people still think grains are healthy. It's unbelievable.
They
People are
give you
fuck.
when you have like an operation in the UK, they give you sugar, so they give you like jelly, or they
Yes.
give you custard and stuff, and that's like a spike in insulin. So
Yeah.
it'll spike you in insulin and it'll actually make you weaker just
Yeah.
after you've had an operation, even if you've had like a heart attack.
Yep. And you know why they do that? To increase your hospital stay so they can get more money from you. That's why
You know
they
what?
do it.
You know, the amount of times I've had to bite my tongue when I've spoken to a doctor or a nurse after I've spent the last like 5 years looking up people like yourself
Yeah.
and chiropractors and people on carnivore and stuff. It almost feels like it's kind of weird saying this. It almost feels like a bloody cult because
Yeah.
we're in this like we're because we're considered like conspiracy theorists, aren't we? Because we're
Yeah.
like, as soon as you tell them, no, you don't need carbs and stuff, no, you don't need sugar, you get like screwed up faces and you get raised eyebrows and stuff. I'm going in a bit of a tangent, but I'm just annoyed by
No, no,
the amount
I'm
of
enjoying it.
nonsense. And it's just every time I go to my doctor, they'll say the same thing, and it's not just one doctor; it's the entire NHS. They're not.
Yeah.
They get, I think they get something like anywhere between 2 days and a week in training for minerals, for supplements
Yeah.
and
For
vitamins,
nutrition.
minerals, which
Yeah.
is nothing.
And also, and let me tell you something, if they do take that training, you know what they learn? They learn that nutrition has no impact on health outcomes.
Hmm.
That's what
Yeah,
they learn. So even if they do it, it's fucking useless.
because it's a
Anyway,
competing industry. Because it's a competing industry, isn't it? Because they're
yes.
not licensed to write prescriptions for say vitamin D3 and other
Yeah.
um, supplements because it goes against their drug policy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
okay.
it's it's the it's the cult of allopathic medicine. If you
Yeah.
and doctors, I was talking to someone about this yesterday. Just one more story. I've often found that women who get breast implants, they often get really bad hormonal problems like hair loss, period problems, infertility, tinnitus, hearing loss, crazy stuff. And then when these women get those breast implants explanted, which means to remove them, in a couple of weeks their issues clear up, and it's absolutely fascinating. And I've got a woman at the moment who has breast implants, and her issues came on after, like a couple of months after she got them, and she's had it for 2 years, and she's getting worse. And I said to her, look, it's completely up to you. It's your body. Women like to look good. But I said, you might want to consider these other women who I've spoken to who've gotten good results. And so this woman goes down to her general practitioner, which is sort of like your family doctor. She's from Melbourne too. And she goes there and the doctor is like, no, that's absolutely ridiculous. There's no way that breast implants cause any autoimmune or any other diseases. And it's like, how would you possibly know that? Do you have any literature? Have you spoken to like thousands of women? Like these doctors they get told one thing at medical school and they will repeat it without thinking it for the rest of their careers. It's
I do,
unbelievable.
yeah, I do love doctors, but sometimes they do have a bit of a godlike complex where you just
Yeah,
can't argue against them.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah, they
really
do.
ridiculous. I am pretty lucky in that the chiropractor that I've got has a red light therapy gun.
Oh,
Uh,
beautiful.
yeah, and he's very clued up. So I'm very lucky in that sense. I've got someone like that. But I just want to ask, I forget. Uh, I've got hypothyroidism, so I'm taking levothyroxine like that. One of your previous callers I was saying.
Yeah,
Um, taking selenium and zinc
yeah.
and iodine. Should I be taking anything else in order to actually just
What
keep
was
keep it in
what was
the
what
right range?
what was the first thing you said? Sorry, was it
Uh,
desiccate thyroid or thyroxine or?
yeah, hypothyroid. So yeah, it's levothyroxine. So it's a synthroid.
Okay, yeah, look, okay, two things. I would probably obviously speak to your endocrinologist before you do any of this, but I would talk to him about removing that, the first one, and also yeah, you're taking iodine, that's great. And I would also try and get your hands on some desiccated thyroid. So desiccated means basically like a company like Ancestral Supplements from New Zealand, which I'm not associated with, they get no money. They get the animal, the cow, they slaughter it, they cut out the organs, and they basically burn it down to like a powder. They put it in a tablet and you take it. So I would say try and get some desiccated thyroid from Ancestral Supplements and take that. And also read that book I was talking about before. by Dr. Brownstein. He's really, really good. He's got some amazing books. I'd read that because he knows more about thyroid than I do. But I can tell you iodine, selenium, zinc, avoid things like bromine, fluoride, chlorine. Lots of medications have bromine in them. The pools have fluoride in them. Tap water has chlorine in them. Like, I mean, look, when people take a shower, like a hot shower in any country, you're basically in a steam room of chlorine and fluoride. It's very bad. So that's why I tell people get a Berkey water filter. But look, we're getting into the range of a lot of money there. So I would
Yeah,
say,
I've got one of those like activated charcoal filters. That's about where I am with that. You obviously can't like do everything because everything costs loads of money. So
yes,
it's really now I've got the Kangen water filter
yeah.
thing, but obviously you can only do
You know,
so much within the
you
unit.
you really remind me of because the effort you've put in now, you should have silence by now. Because there's you've seen the testimonials. There's so many people who get silence very quickly and sometimes in 6 months. But there must be something with you holding it back. You know what I mean?
I'm
Because
in, yeah, I'm in a very stressful environment. I don't want to. I'm in a stressful environment. I can't really do anything about it at the moment. So I'm doing everything else that I possibly physically can.
yeah,
Uh, Carnivore, going out, getting stepped, getting sun, no fluoride, all these supplements. I've just gotten ox bile recently.
perfect.
Uh,
How
so
bad do you still have your gallbladder?
yeah, yeah.
How bad on a? I won't ask you personal questions about it here, but how bad is your stressful environment? Would you say it's like a 10 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10 or?
Without being dramatic, I'd probably say like 9.
Wow. Okay. So do you think that you'll be able to make a change this year and move out of it, or?
I'm hoping so, because we've come out of lockdown to a certain extent. I'm hoping to go to a very, very hot country, specifically just to get as much sort of vitamin D and just charge as much as physically possible. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that's going to be like a big boost.
Okay. Yeah. No. And also it sounds like stress is because stress is big.
Yeah,
And like seriously, like so you can do, all that other good stuff, and you've obviously you're getting some results, which is really good. So it's working for you. But I'd say that's definitely a big thing. All right, let's end this here. We're talking for a while, but I'll put a post up in the Facebook group and ask about the urinary mycotoxin test in the group. Okay, and we'll see if we can find
yeah.
someone. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on and have a lovely day. Okay. Bye. Okay. We have another person. Awesome. This is great, guys. Keep the questions coming. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. Okay, Sakina, I'm trying to bring you on. Um, Bugger. We're on a roll as well. Okay, Sakina, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the raised hands and then I'm going to turn it back on and then please apply again. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, it's off. Open to everyone. Okay, Sakina, if you want to apply again, just go ahead and I'll try and bring you in. This was a great call. Here we go. Yep, beautiful.